All right, guys. My special guest today, Evans Armantrading. Is that how I say your last name?
Yeah, Armantrading. You got it
Armantrading
right.
Jr.
Mhm.
Is a fitness professional all the way down south in the U.S., Delaware, from where we are at least, Dover, Delaware.
Mhm.
I've known Evans for quite a few years now. We just caught up. We said like 4 years ago we met back in San Diego,
Yeah.
um, and we've been to fitness conferences and masterminds together just because being with like-minded people. And one thing I've learned from Evans is that, like I told him this when we were chatting earlier, that he's got this awesome mentor vibe about him. And I think you're a preacher too, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
so that's probably what it is. Like, it's like when he speaks, you listen. So this is going to be really exciting for me, to interview him and just go get a little bit about his background and how he got started in fitness and how he got started with his fitness business. But without further ado, Evans, welcome to the show, man.
Well, thank you, Joe. Thank you. I'm honored to be on your show. I'm pretty excited when you shot me the invite. I was there like, that's cool. I always look up to how you run your business and do things. So it's pretty awesome.
That's awesome. You look up to me. I was like, I look up to you. But let's start from the beginning, man. How did you get started in, let's say, started in fitness first
Okay.
and foremost?
Well, my fitness journey actually kind of is funny. You mentioned mentorship. That's what led into it. I was never really the athlete. I was kind of like the kid who played pickup ball or something like that, but never, really on sports teams and things like that. And, I had gained weight when I had met my wife. So I gained like 30 pounds. So I went from like this skinny adult to this overweight adult in like 3 months, and with that became, all the psychological challenges that you experience from, I was very self-conscious about like how I looked at my clothes. And even when I went into the pool, I never went to the pool. I didn't go to the pool for like 5+ years because I didn't want to take off my shirt, and I
I don't
didn't
know
want
if you've seen. I don't know if you've seen Evan's picture. He's very ripped. You didn't want to take off your shirt.
yeah, so the like all the variables hit at the same time, and the company I was working for went out of business after I got out the military, and I had my wife and I had my son at the time, and my mentor was like, why don't you use this time, just use this time to get in shape. You can work out with me. He was really big into fitness. He's a bariatrics physician and did OBGYN and did a lot of stuff in the bodybuilding scene with Lou Ferrigno and Arnold Schwarzenegger. And so he was like, you can just work out in my gym with me in my basement. And I just liked the idea of getting with him, picking his brain and learning from him. And in 4 months, I lost about 40 pounds. And that's a very aggressive, but I was deconditioned, someone who never exercised before, poor eating habits, and I was hyper disciplined. Like I literally did a 180 turn, and I would never recommend that for people typically, just from a behavior modification standpoint,
Right.
because most people can't like turn the ship, and hold it steady. But I did, because I just started loving the way I felt in my skin, and I got so excited about it. I just started to share with other people, hey, this is what we're doing, and this is how it works. And, I'll never forget, I had a lady who was a client of mine. She was a good friend of the family. And, she was like morbidly obese. And I came to her house and I showed her all the things. I'm like, could do this. And she's like, Evans, I'm not going to do it. And I was like, what? And she was like, yeah, here's some money though for your time. And I didn't know that people actually like pay you, to teach them fitness. I was just like, no, I don't need it. I really did need it because I was in between. I didn't have a job at the time.
Yeah.
But that's what birthed it, and that's what got me like into training. I just had an appointment. I've been talking about this week. I had an appointment every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 2:00. I had this set appointment on my calendar. Everything I was doing went around that time frame. And because I had that consistency, I was able to chip away at the rock, and really start, crushing my fitness goals.
That's amazing. I think one important point through all that is that this became like that ritual that you do day in and day out. And I feel like when you were talking, it was like, this is the one time you started having a little bit more control of your life.
Mm-hmm.
And because you could control that weight, it turned I don't know where you were before, because you were in the Army. You're probably pretty disciplined before. Were you? Let me ask you.
Well,
Were
I was
you?
in the Air Force, and but I was naturally like a very A type, person. But in nutrition and in fitness, I mean, I remember when I went to the desert, all the guys, they worked out and I ate their food.
Oh,
You
oh
know what I mean?
really?
Yeah, I was just not interested in it. And partially I was like very intimidated,
Okay.
with it. I didn't know what all these things were. I didn't want to feel embarrassed that I didn't know, and I never had that like private before this time. I didn't have a private experience where I could be vulnerable and fail and not like crush my ego.
Mm,
Because when I went
got
to
it.
the gym, I saw people who today look like me, and they're working out, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going home.
Yeah.
My ego just couldn't handle it, and
and
that's
th-
when
and
our studio is the way it is now.
and that's it's so funny because and you're a type A type guy.
Hmm.
Imagine people that aren't like that and they walk into a fitness setting
Hmm.
and how intimidating it is. And that's probably why a lot of people don't get the results that they need, is because they don't have that like kind of ramp up period into it all. So awesome
Absolutely.
story. So how did you get started? Like obviously you realize people are going to actually pay you for your knowledge and your time.
Mhm.
Is that how you started your fitness business career?
Yeah, I still remember we were in my living room, and it was in November. 2009. I put up a whiteboard, and I like to write and draw and game plan. Strategic thinking is one of my strengths, and I was like, we could do this, and we could meet with them this time. And I remember, I mean, I didn't realize I was giving away Mercedes Benz for like Pinto or like old school car prices. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's what happened. I had this need. I had a wife, I had a son, I had a mortgage, I had a need, and I had a passion. And my passion, I don't think it was fitness. It was really seeing transformations.
Mhm.
I got really excited just about like the journey wasn't about the scale was a part of it, but it was who I was becoming along the journey. That's what really excited me. So I got excited about other people like being confident, feeling good about themselves, taking their self-image up a notch. So I literally just started volunteering and helping, some close family friends. And then we were like, okay, we need to do a price point to this. I need to
Yeah.
do this. And I still have my early sheets, I'm like, wow. I
That's
mean,
how much you charge.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Literally, like my monthly rate is my current like 30-minute rate, That was my monthly rate. And I drive to your house and what I started doing was realizing everything I didn't know, I taught. Like I didn't understand how like metabolism worked.
Mhm.
So I created educational PowerPoints to teach my clients how the metabolism works. And I didn't understand something and I studied, learned it, applied it to myself and taught it to my clients. And so our metabolic coaching, our nutrition program actually scaled dramatically out the gates because people were, being educated. They were understanding now why things were happening based on the choices they were making.
That's cool. Like you brought it up. Teaching is like learning twice.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, teaching is learning twice. Very cool. So talk to me now. Like you started working with clients one-on-one, like volunteering your time. Now you got 2 studios now. Talk to me about the journey from independent trainer, driving to people's houses. Probably, I don't know how much you're charging. I
Yeah,
remember I was charging pretty low. Looking back, I was like, oh man, I can't believe I
yeah, I
charged
was
this price.
losing money for sure. I was
I was
losing
losing money driving to people's houses.
Yes, I was. And then at the time, it's 2009. So gas prices were close to $4 a gallon because it was right after that spike,
Yeah.
in there. And so I did that for a couple of months. And then my same mentor and coach, he actually had a medical practice where a physician was renting from him. And, an opportunity opened up where that guy left out and he said, "Hey, Evans, you want to rent for me? A sublease for $600 a month." And I was like, "Oh my God, I can't afford $600 a month. I don't even make $600 a month." And he was like, "How much do you charge?" And I told him how much to charge. He was like, "Yeah, you have to like triple your rate." So we did. And it was crazy because when we increased our price, our business grew. Because what happened when people began to see, they understood the value.
Yeah.
There's a reason why Mercedes go for the price that they go for, and I'm just picking them out. It grew, and we were literally subleasing from him that 1 year. Now, he was a physician and he was OBGYN.
Mhm.
So he's seeing these patients, and we're literally coaching people, like moving the exam table to talk to people about their fitness goals, and then moving it back in between. Or, we're training people in an exam room, in there. And then another buddy of mine, he had a local gym, like a private studio.
Yeah.
And I asked him, can I sublease from him the next year? And I subleased for him for a year, and we grew again, so now we're in 2 places.
Oh, you jumped to 2 locations.
Well, because I was coaching in the medical office, and then I'm training in the studio. And then we had then a chiropractor in Middletown said I could work with him out there, which is just a couple of county, the next county up. So now I'm in 3 places, driving around like crazy. So we finally consolidated in 2012 into 1 location and continue to grow. And then every year, we either like expanded space or moved. And then we moved to our second location we started with that by subleasing from a gym. So we had a local gym owner call us up and ask us to train them. Even though they had trainers there, they also owned restaurants and stuff like that, and they saw the results that we were getting. Like, their patrons were coming in, and they're like, "Where do you go?" And they're like, "We go to CNU Fit, 30 minutes up the road." And they were like, "Do you think they'll come down here?" So we started to come down and train them in their gym.
Sorry, you trained the people that owned it on how to run a fitness business?
No, and like their fitness, like we train them.
Oh, they're clients.
No, them, the owners.
Yeah. That's wild.
Yeah, it is. It is. So we developed a subleasing relationship, and now we're at 2 locations at that time, and that's the end of last year. And 2018. Excuse me, end of 2018, and then right up towards the end of the year, we were only in there for maybe 4 weeks, and we got notice that they were shutting down.
The gym was shut. Yeah, I think you mentioned this. Yeah, you there.
Yeah. So now I'm in this conundrum. I only have like 4 clients in the location, and it's not necessarily the smartest thing to do I already have my home base that, we know how to do it. Life is good and everything else. But I decided to step on faith. I was really passionate about expanding in that area, and we decided to open it up. And now we have like a phenomenal team out there. The clients are ridiculous, getting phenomenal like results, crushing it all the time. So it's been, really, really cool.
That's awesome. It kind of sounds like my story. Like when we start off on any business, we take anything we can.
Yeah.
Or like we go to people's houses, we open up a sublease here, we sublease there. Very similar to my story. I subleased 2 different spots before I consolidated, and that's when business blows up. I think, who was it? I think Sean Greeley. Like, he talks about it gets complex and then simple, complex and then simple. So it's an awesome story. So now talk to me. Now that location is, now you got 2 locations. Now talk to me about some of your programs, because you talk about really interesting programs with your metabolic conditioning programs that you started with CNU Fit.
Cool. So we do metabolic coaching, and basically we do is combine like traditional nutrition coaching with, understanding the metabolism, and lots of education and programming in there. So it's really about meeting the client where they are in their journey and then helping them to their destination. So it's not like, here's a quick diet sheet that you follow and go from there. It's really about understanding, okay, what's going on with my body? And we have to understand, like, my typical client is a very busy professional. Even right now, they're probably working over 50 hours a week during COVID because they're managing a lot of different things. They're in their mid 40s to 60s, so they're going through the life change. A lot of my clients, I'd say majority of my clients are females. So there's a lot of things that are happening. They've dieted 15, 20 times before they've come to me. What is real? What is truth? So we spend a lot of time on the education side in that metabolic coaching program. And then we do one-on-one training. That's like we have less people that do one-on-one. And most of our clients do what we call semi-private training, where up to 3 people can train at one time with a coach.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be very similar to us being here, the way that there's the 2 of us on here, but 2 more people on the cast, and everyone is having customized workouts. So, everybody's program is customized to what's going on in their body and what their needs are and their goals.
Got it. So you'll have like 3 people on 3 different sets of equipment, completely different. And then the trainer is the one supervising and making sure they're doing things
Correct.
as programmed and prescribed.
Mm-hmm. And that could be in physical world, that could be anywhere from spotting them, of course, there's cueing and all those kind of pieces. But then in the virtual world, it's looking at, okay, what's your equipment do you have available? How much space do you have available? What are your skill sets? We've even found ways to screen you virtually. And then, based on the data and your goals, how can we help you move forward? So it's very common to have 3 people at totally 3 different fitness levels with 3 different sets of equipment.
Yeah.
But we program, for that.
Dude, I know you got a wealth of information and knowledge from your journey. Share with me now, what do you think your biggest fail forward is? Like the one thing that you were like, I screwed that up huge, but I learned a ton.
I would say setting and maintain from a business perspective or from a personal fitness perspective?
Man, you choose.
Okay. From a business perspective is setting and maintaining the standard. There's a great book called Extreme Ownership, these talks about the standard, is not what you say it is, but it's what you allow. And, so that was a huge lesson for me when it came to developing people is, we set the standard, and many times I compromise the standard because I like the person, and I realized the only thing I was doing was hurting the person, and hurting my business. So the biggest failure, I spent 2 years at least failing in this one area of putting together a rock star team. And the reason why is because I thought, it was humble to say, you shouldn't do it the way I do it. You're free to do it your way. But in reality, it was decreasing the quality and the standard of what my company and what my brand is, because my team is an extension of me. So in about September, October timeframe, I think it was close to September, we sat down, we created our own internal certification, and you had to be CNU Fit certified in 30 days upon hire, or you didn't work here anymore. And I mean, the people who made it through, they're rock stars. And we taught them how to, all the pieces, we support them in there, but we realized like either you're going to push yourself to excel and maintain our standard of excellence, or this was not the place for you. And I tell you, it sounds very simple, and it was challenging for me, at least, because you have emotional ties to people. But I had to realize, like, no, I owe it to my clients to give them the same quality that I would give every single time. And I'm really proud to say that our team does that now.
That's phenomenal. I took a lot out of that myself, because I see myself doing those things and making compromises and allowing the bar to drop a little bit, just because, accepting that that's how people operate. Mm-hmm. But really it's the boundaries you create that, I heard that from, was it Tiffany, that what was her saying? The boundaries that you allow.
Yep. Or the boundaries you create. Yep.
That you create. Yeah. It's awesome. So being in business this long, has there been any like real breakthrough aha moments for you where you're like, oh man, it all makes sense now?
I wish it all made sense now.
Well, does it? But like, I mean, would there be like a situation where you're like, oh man, I wish, I know I talked about failure before, but like a light bulb moment went off. Like, is there one time a light bulb moment went off in your business career where things started to connect?
Well, yeah, I think there's like several, like at different phases. There are these aha moments, and I think one big transition was understanding, as an entrepreneur, you're driven a little different than someone who's not an entrepreneur. So the incentives and how you create culture and what drives you is not the same thing that drives others. So I think a big like aha is I have to be very open to understanding like this is what you need in order to feel a part, and then from a business, pieces, I've always been very frugal, so I've always, like I don't spend a whole lot. I still collect a moderate salary. I live beneath my means. We save, we're out of debt, so we still live very frugal in that realm. But like learning to hear the needs of people and being vulnerable to my team, I think that's been a huge aha from a business standpoint. And then, just not being afraid to be flexible and chase like the big whale, like go after it, like ask for the rock star deal, because they may say yes, and it can be a game changer. So an example of that was me having, because we have the 2 locations and we have like a pseudo 3rd location because we have a contract with Air Force Base.
That's right. Yeah.
And but I would never, thought, okay, I don't know how do you file and connect with the government and all these kind of things. And but it was going after that and being willing to put myself out there and ask for help, and to be able to do it. And I failed the first contract. I mean, I say I failed. I mean, I landed the contract. We executed excellently, but my compensation was like nil.
Yeah.
And partially it's because I didn't seek mentorship from a buddy of mine who does it all the time.
Right.
And they were like, Evans, come on, why didn't you access? So from a business perspective, that was a huge thing. I think that mentorship is huge, and connecting with people and surrounding yourself with people with like mind, but also ensuring that you're in an atmosphere that stretches you to grow consistently is critical, because it's easy to be the guide, but you need to be the person guided in the hero's journey as well.
Sure. Like in the early stages, I think you talked about like people not being built like us entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. And I sometimes get into it. Like, I was like, how are you not working on weekends? I was like, what? You guys want to take a day off? I was like, it doesn't make sense to me.
Oh, speaking about that, that is a big aha I received in the last 6 months or so, that my productivity actually was down because I was working too much.
Huh.
So like one of the things we do now is something called Unplugged. So on Friday night at 7 p.m. and all day Saturday, we don't do anything CNU Fit related. If you email me, you get an automatic reply that says, our core value is to, take care of ourselves as well as to take care of you. And in order to execute upon that, we have to unplug and refresh and be ready to serve you at our highest availability on Monday. And I pressure my team continually to unplug on the weekend, therefore they can give me their best. So more is not necessarily better, but focus time is money time. You know what I mean? Like, if you're playing the game properly through the week, then, the weekend, you can enjoy that time frame.
You got to be completely focused. You got to be a pro, right? Pro athletes, they don't drink the night before. If they're on a championship playoff run, you don't see them partying.
Nope.
Yeah, so totally, you're a definite pro when it comes to that. So, Evans, I got a couple questions that I thought would have been perfect for you to answer. Some health related questions, some fitness ones that our clients posed. We'll just go back and forth with it. Here's one, Lucy. Okay. She asked, is stationary bicycling a good exercise?
That's like a trick question, Lucy. It all depends what your goals are. So, is it a good exercise for someone who just had double knee replacement surgery? Absolutely. I think it's good depending what you're doing on the bike, to cause your heart rate to go up, and so that's going to help you with cardiovascular strength. We know that if you're doing steady state, maintain consistent pace for 35, 45 minutes consistently, it can increase your HDL levels. So if you have cardiovascular disease, yes, it's pretty good. But if you want to like go after aesthetics and you want to change the composition of your body, I personally wouldn't recommend going on a bike. Now, I have some clients who have physical limitations and the bike is the better option for them. But, as far as just, depending on what your goal is, if you want to lean out, if you want to come in a little tighter, then unless you're doing HIIT training on the bike, I wouldn't be using the bike.
Good. I like that. And it depends. And I want to chime in on this one. I feel a lot of this stuff, bicycling, walking, all those low intensity, like if you're doing this at a low intensity, especially times like this where everybody's quarantined and not doing stuff, I think it's an excellent way to get in some extra activity without increasing cortisol levels too much, without increasing the stress. That's when I would use it. But if, like Evan said, if it's for weight loss and aesthetics, it's not going to be the first thing that I would go to. It'd be weight training and nutrition would be the top two. But if it was an add-on to help you increase the calorie expenditure, then I would say definitely add it in on top of what you're doing.
And even with what you said, I think it's pretty powerful. Sometimes as fitness people, we speak in terms that we get, and the rest of the world is like, what? So you talked about cortisol, right? And we know cortisol is that stress hormone, and it causes you to break down, like strands of sugar that's stored in your muscles. And for a lot of people, if you don't use it for fight or flight, which most people don't, you store it as belly fat. So when you have chronic exercise produces cortisol, right? But it also ties in with testosterone. That's why you talk about strength training. But if you do have like you're super stressed out, even if you're not lifting, then the stationary bike at a low intensity can help you decrease that cortisol level. So, that's a powerful point that you just kind of dropped that as a quick nugget, but I wanted to make sure everybody got that. That was awesome.
Good. Awesome. Next question. Lynn asks, are there age-related hormone changes that impact weight loss?
Absolutely. I remember when I first started to learn about hormones, I was like, there's no calories in hormones. And if somebody said that to me now, they'd be like, you're really ignorant. You don't know at all. But yes, as we age, men go through andropause, women go through menopause. There's these hormonal changes. The biggest one is typically is, you drop in testosterone, and for women, you're like these estrogen hormones, estrogen, estradiol, and progesterone. And when they're out of balance, yes, it can be very challenging to lose weight, and you actually like accumulate fat, in certain areas tied to it. Now you can experience, you can have hormonal challenges and still lose weight. So I always tell people to pressure test it. Like, is my nutrition good? Is my exercise habits consistent? If they are, then, it's a high probability in there. In addition to that, sometimes as people age, we're finding the cases of imbalances with your T3 and T4, like a hypothyroidism, are increasing in North America. And, some people speculate that's because we took iodine out of salt and, certain things like that, and some of the additives and things that we put in our food. I'm not going to go down conspiracy theory. It's just that the numbers are up. So yes, there are definitely age-related hormonal changes that do impact weight loss. Strength training, though, does give you a bump in testosterone. So doing like tighter bouts of training instead of doing hour and a half long training where you rest for really long, a higher intensity type workout actually is kind of like counterbalances those hormonal imbalances. And then I always refer out to like a physician that specializes in bioidentical hormone therapy.
For sure. I think you touched on it already. Testosterone being the main hormone that drops as we age. And it's funny because I get a lot of older women that don't want to lift heavy.
Oh,
like,
man.
I don't want those big muscles. I don't want those like big bodybuilder muscles. And I was just like, the amount of testosterone you have in your body, it's pretty hard to build it. So the one thing that they need to do is weight training.
Yes.
Because that's the only thing that's going to increase that testosterone level and be able to build muscle. So it increases your metabolism over the long term. So,
yeah. And it also helps, and, we talk about women, with this, but we're seeing this, across all different nationalities where, women in their, are having higher cases of osteoporosis and osteopenia. And that load that you put against your body does cause your bones to thicken. So it decreases those risks of it. We have a lot of clients with rheumatoid arthritis, and training actually helps, decrease that inflammation in the body. So, weight training and, heavy lifting is actually very much recommended. And you're not going to look like those guys. Don't worry about it.
There's that meme I always see, like what women think when they're going to lift weight and what actually happens.
Correct. That's really good.
All right. This next question from Elisa, I think is very similar to the one Lynn asked, but how to conquer weight loss in the 50s, including menopause?
Awesome. And it's funny, we have like a private Facebook group for our clients, and we actually did a video somewhat, of this in here. I would say that the technique to conquer weight loss by itself has nothing to do with age and menopause. The reason why we have weight challenges is because of an inability to keep, our promises to ourselves. So we said, I'm going to stop eating here. And that was a promise I made to myself, and I continue to eat. We said, hey, I'm going to go and exercise today, but I'm tired. So I didn't go exercise. So it's this broken promise, scenario. So how do you conquer weight loss? You do it patiently and slowly. You set a low bar goal. And this, I'm telling you, this low bar goal was introduced to me by this couple, actually, one's out of Canada initially, but they're out in Texas. And, and I was like, you said low goals, what's that all about? No, you said high goals. We're Americans. And, they were like, no, you set low goals so you can hit them. And you start growing in your confidence in there. So if you take micro steps instead of major steps, you can, conquer weight loss consistently while building habits, and that's the name of the game. So I would say to Lisa, if you from a fitness standpoint, if you can commit to twice a week and just put on your calendar and say, you know what, I'm going to make these meetings and these appointments with me. If every single week, twice a week, you're going to see like ridiculous results. And then it's just minor changes with nutrition, right? If I eat out 4 days a week, I can eat out 3 days a week, and until I'm ready to go to 2 days a week. If I don't eat vegetables, I'll add vegetables. If I don't have protein in all my meals, I can sneak in protein in every single meal, and by making these little adjustments, you're going to see like when you look, it wasn't even that hard. It wasn't like, oh, I have to train. I have a testimonial video with this lady, Lisa, and Lisa, her body is just totally transformed. It's just awesome. And she talked about in the video, she said, all my friends were telling me that you have to go to the gym, 5 days a week. They train for an hour every single day. I couldn't do that. I couldn't believe that my body could change like this. And I only train twice a week for half an hour.
Right.
But she's consistent. And that's how you do it. Consistently chipping away.
I love that you went that way. You went the whole psychology route there. I wanted to add on to that. Like, I think it's harder for people that are older to lose weight. Yes, because of psychology, because of all the habits, how long they've been habitually lying to themselves or overeating. Mm-hmm. And as trainers, we're behavior change specialists. Mm-hmm. Our job is to change your behaviors, and it's harder to break the older you are. They can't it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But I love that you went that route with the psychology side of it, because that's super important. I was going to go into the nutrition side of things as well. Like, listen, it's not rocket science. Less calories in versus more calories out, and less calories in. And I say, what's the best exercise when it comes to weight loss? It's table pushaways. You're done eating, you push yourself away from the table. I feel it's like,
you say that because you're young, so I'll help you with that. It is the math equation is right? But the more I study, the more I learn is the calories out portion is a very complex equation. It's not as easy as, well, I'm this height, I'm this weight, I'm this gender, I'm this age, because my body composition determines how much lean mass versus fat mass. And the more muscle I have on my body, the faster my metabolism, because I have more mitochondria in my muscle cells, right? Hormones play a role in it. NEAT, that non-exercise activity, plays a role. So it is a simple, like 1 minus 1 is 0, but it is a complex in the fact that, what I am putting out can vary for individual. And that's where coaching comes in.
That's yeah.
Coaches are able to guide you through that journey of discovery to identify, okay, this is what's going to work for me. And even on the, on the inside, right, we know that all calories are not created equal. Mm-hmm. So I can eat, 1,500, 1,800, whatever number of calories in. But if it's mostly carbs and fats, I'm not going to see the same kind of results than if I've had, more protein or the adequate amount of protein for my body.
Right.
So it's simple, but not simple, at
Right.
the same time. But,
yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Like that's where coaching comes in, and that's where we got to troubleshoot as coaches and be like, is this working? We got to prescribe it, do it for a long enough period of time and see what the outcome is.
Yes.
If the outcome isn't there. That's where we need to iterate. So,
and that's what you said is so powerful, is doing it for a long enough period of time to see if the outcomes. And what I see happen is, people are so inundated with, these billion-dollar companies and their marketing schemes. So they think, oh, in 14 days or in 21 days or in 28 days, but you may need to follow something for 3 weeks to see if that something works. Because it could be the fact that your stress levels are high and your body's not burning fat because it's in a fight or flight state, or you're not sleeping. So your body's like, oh, I'm not in a recovered state, so I'm not going to mobilize fat tissue the way I am. Or I'm not hydrating well enough to lose fat, so you have to do it long enough, not just like, oh, I found this cool plan. This $9.99 is $9 or $10 a month, and it tells me my macros, and that's what's going to get me fit.
Yeah.
No, you got to do it long enough. So powerful statement.
I'm guilty of that. Being in the fitness industry, I lean on like those quick fixes to get people into the door. But it's, what the funny thing is, it's funny how our minds work in seeing like, oh, hey, it's only 21 days, it's 6 weeks. I think like the way the psychology of people is that they need that start and stop. But then once they're on board with us, it's like, well, this is a lifestyle. This is really a 52-week plan. Right?
Absolutely. So, but I'm just saying, nothing wrong with these short-term plans to like jumpstart, or kickstart things. What I just see a lot of is, you have this before and after picture and you're like, there's no way.
Yeah.
You're not losing 40 pounds in 6 weeks, baby doll. That's not going to happen.
But, it's funny because the supplement industry is actually a bigger industry than our fitness industry.
Oh, yeah.
It makes way more money. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, Evans, I appreciate you being on the show. I love asking this question because I'm a big Kung Fu. I'm into Kung Fu movies because I believe everybody's story or everybody's life is like a Kung Fu montage or like a training montage where they got beat down, they had to train and get themselves back up, and they ended up coming back fighting the boss. But they realized that beating the boss wasn't the actual thing; it was the journey of getting there. So if you had a favorite, I don't know, Kung Fu action or something with a hero arc in it, what movie would it be and why?
Well, that's so funny you asked that. Every new staff member, I take them through the hero's journey, and I always talk about Karate Kid. It's a cheesy movie, but I love it because you have this kid from New Jersey. My wife's like woo woo because she's from New Jersey. But Ralph DiMaggio, and he comes out to California, gets beat up. And I love the storyline of like, him developing these disciplines to become, everybody loves Rocky. But I love that movie because it's like, hey, this person didn't think. And, if it was not karate related, be like something like The Gladiator. I don't know if you've seen The Gladiator, but he comes out, he's pretty good doing what he does. And then his life and I think I can relate more to The Gladiator than Karate Kid. Yeah. The life just smacks him all different ways from Sunday. But he commits to a certain end and boom, he wins the crowd in the end. And I love that. It was not about you winning, these fights, because he was fighting in the stadium. He's like, you got to win the crowd, and he had to work on his people skills and his communication and all this other stuff to win the crowd, so I thought it was a powerful movie.
Dude, that's going to go on my Friday movie. I got to rewatch that. It was the one with Russell Crowe. Was it Russell?
Yes.
Yeah, I got to rewatch that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he gets beat up and then it's all about the journey. So
yes, it is.
Awesome, man. If people want to learn more about you, Evans, what's the best way to get at you or reach you?
Yeah, just CNUFit.com, our website. We have a little contact form. You can literally fill it in right there, or just Evans Armantrading on Facebook. So I think my link is somewhere in the description in here. But yeah, call us, email us, text us, any ways you want to, and we can help you in your journey.
Awesome. Appreciate you being on the show and sharing your secrets to health, wealth, and being kick-ass, my man.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.